Hey everyone, it's Jared here with Heat Press Nation, and I'm joined by Kenji from I Can Do It Studio. Kenji, how you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me over.
Dude,
Really
it's so good to have you, man. So you have a lot of experience with starting your own brand, your own line, and you have a lot of tips for mistakes that people can avoid when they're trying to do the same.
All right, thanks, Jared. The first mistake is over-ordering your inventory. When you first launch your brand, you don't want to be stuck with a bunch of shirts in your apartment, or hoodies for that matter. Square footage is so important, and having a bunch of boxes full of stock is just gonna, one, it's gonna stress you out because it's taking up space, and two, it's kind of like, it's a little bit discouraging because you kind of see that your product didn't do well. So a couple ways to avoid this, I would say is one, working with the heat press. There's no minimum orders for heat presses, which is why I have the HPN 16x20 press, which I love. And I would say that that allows me to control my inventory. So if I drop a new design, I just have to sell one. If I sell one, then I'm chilling. With a vendor like screen printing or DTG, typically they have minimums. It's called MOQ. And with MOQs, depending on who you work with, it could be anywhere from 12 to like a local mom and pop shop, or it could be 72 to 100 depending on what kind of vendor you work with. So best thing to do is get the press, start low quantities, or even just get some samples to see if people care about what you make, and then you can go from there.
Dude, I love that. What else you got?
So number two will be buying the wrong equipment. So
Okay.
I work with the HPN 16x20 auto, so with the slide out, because I did my research, I watched a bunch of videos, and I saw people that kind of make the stuff that I wanted to make. So I made enough of an argument with myself that this is the equipment that I need. Versus some people see people with the embroidery machine and they got a little bit too excited, First they're like,
And those are expensive.
they're, I don't know how much they cost, but you get too excited, a little overzealous. You get a payment plan for like a $10,000 machine and you're gonna be kind of stuck with it. You can always sell it used, but you're gonna take a huge loss on it. So always research before you buy anything and figure out what you wanna make at least a little bit before you dive in, because that could be a really big commitment that you're not ready for yet.
Dude, I love it. Wise words, man.
Yeah, third step's gonna be trying to sell before you have a social media presence. Because a lot of us, we get too excited with the creative process, which is great because that's why we do what we love to do.
Right.
But if no one's buying it, then unfortunately it's not feasible, it's not scalable, and you're gonna kind of be stuck doing what you like, which is fine, but if your goal is to grow a business, you have to make sales. So social media is so important. A lot of us just wanna be creatives in our dark rooms at home, but the reality is that people need to find who you are. And people need to learn about you because branding is everything. Without branding, you're not gonna be able to sell anything. So put yourself out there, figure out what works for you. What I like to do is I make reels where I don't speak to the camera directly because that's not who I am, So I use a lot of text-based content, but people like to read as well. So it kind of works, hand in hand, and you just gotta figure out a flow where you're comfortable with what you're doing because you're gonna have to scale that as you go. So if you don't like something and it starts doing well, you're gonna be committed to doing that for however long. So I say, make sure you get that social media running, but make sure you do it in a way that you like it. So after you get that social media set up, getting back to the designs, number 4 is gonna be trying to sell your logo or company name on your clothing. The issue with that is that when you first start off, no one knows about your brand. So even though your logo might be super dope,
Right.
if no one knows what it means, it's gonna be a tough sell. So you're gonna have to build that branding and trust with your customers before you can kind of scale back the designs and go more minimal. Or if it's like a slogan that's very relatable, you can kind of go text-based, which is cool too. But I would say that having more of a general phrase or a general illustration that more people can relate to is a great way to start off. And then once you see success, you can kind of start dialing in what you really want to do with your brand. So anything logo-based, I'll avoid it at first, but remember to sprinkle it in. What I like to do is I work my I Can Do It Studio logo into my designs in some places, or phrasing. This one doesn't have it on it because that was before, but all my new ones, I have a little bit of a hit of my logo somewhere. So at least it kind of builds that mental note for the people buying that, okay, this is a logo that I'm familiar with.
Dude, I love it. And I'm sure we saved the best for last.
Yeah, best for last, don't do it for the money. When you do stuff for money, it never works out well because you're chasing the bag, you're chasing trends, you're trying to turn a profit. Obviously we all do things that we love and we want to turn it into a business.
Yeah.
But if you only do something because some influencer told you you can make $20,000 in a month, or you can sell ebooks, or you can make a shirt business with $5.
Passive income.
Exactly. The reality is that it's gonna be really hard. Running a business is not easy. All the cash flow comes through you, it goes out, and it's a mental journey as well. It's not just a money thing. You have to control your emotions as sales go down. You have to anticipate how your business grows and scale accordingly. And if you love it, you're gonna figure out exactly what you have to do to make it work.
Yeah. Dude, I really appreciate all the wisdom you shared with us. For more information, you can go to heatpressnation.com or
I can do it.studio for my portfolio. I can do it.shop for my web shop where I sell Vision, House, and all my other creations. I hope to see you there, and please check it out.
Awesome. Well, hey, Kenji, thanks so much again.
Of course, thank you.
See ya.